The last time I did one of these breadboard glue ups, I got some really good comments and questions and people wanting some clarification. I also got several snotty comments and some of those passive aggressive comments with the LOLs at the end or the laughing emoji. So as I do this glue up, I'll walk you through it and show you the key components. A few things to note before I put glue on though. So you'll see right here that there's 5 tenons. Now this tenon right here is going to get glued and the rest of them won't, because this one will act as the anchor. And then in the breadboard, you have these holes right here, and these holes are all offset 1/16 this way. So when I go and put these pegs in, it's going to draw this board in nice and tight here. Another thing to note is that this hole right here is round and it's not elongated at all, and that peg is just going to fit in tight. Whereas these two here and these two here, I've elongated a bit. So when I put that one in, you can see there's a little bit of room that it can move back and forth. That allows for these tenons to move inside of the breadboard and move back and forth. Similarly, here in these mortises, this mortise right here is tight because it's going to act as the anchor, and there's going to be some expansion and contraction here and some expansion and contraction here. So you can see right here, this mortise is actually a little bit too big this way and a little bit too big that way. And that way this tenon can actually move inside that mortise when it moves seasonally. And then this next part is important, and this is where there were some of the snotty comments. So this tenon will get completely glued, and this peg will get glued when it goes in. But now there's going to be no glue here and no glue here, but we do want this peg to be attached to this breadboard so the peg doesn't move in and out. So I'm going to hammer it part way in, and you can see on the end here that it's tapered. That's because of the offset. So if I didn't have it, it would actually just hit that offset and it wouldn't go in. So I have it pointed on the end, and then it can go into that hole, and then it can start to do the draw as it goes through. So I'm going to put this down in there just until the round spot right here comes in contact with this tenon and moves it over. Then I'm going to come from the bottom where this tapered edge is, and I'm going to use a piece of wood, and I'm going to come from the bottom and try to get glue on the inside of this breadboard hole on the bottom right here. Invariably, I'm going to get glue all over this. And this is where people got upset. They were like, why are you gluing that stupid thing? And then hammer it through. You can't help but get some glue on here while you're trying to get glue on there. And then as I pound the peg in, then this cylindrical part will come in contact with where the glue is on the bottom side. And I'll put a little bit of glue on the top. And as I pound it in, I'm then going to end up with glue on the top of the breadboard and the bottom of the breadboard where the peg is, but not on the tenon. Okay, so first step, I'm going to put some glue along the top of this tenon right here, and then I'll spread that all out. I'm going to get some up on the shoulder there as well. I'm also going to come to the bottom side, and I just sort of put some glue on the brush like this, and then I'll just brush it on. And then we've got glue on the bottom side of the tenon and the top side of the tenon and kind of on those shoulders. Then I can grab this breadboard and fit it over all the tenons. And start to hammer it in. Then I'll use the mallet and I'll pound it in. Now I want you to notice there's a bit of a gap here right now. And if you look down inside that hole, if it works, you can kind of see that the tenon is offset right there. Now when I go and put that peg in, it's going to draw this whole line here nice and tight, especially in this spot, and we should see some glue kind of poke out. So I got the tapered end. It's going to go down and fit past where that offset is. And as I put it down, you can see it's kind of on an angle, and then it's going to meet the bottom side of the breadboard, and it's going to twist over, and you're going to see this gap close. And you can see right there, it drew it closed, and the glue kind of squeezed out. Now I'm going to put some glue on this piece of cardboard right here. I've got a little piece of wood, and I'm going to put some glue along the peg right here. And then when I go hammer it in, it's going to go down inside the breadboard and attach the peg to the breadboard. Now for these next ones, I'm going to pound it in, and I'm going to look down here for the tapered part to start coming out. Then I'm going to take some of this glue and I'm going to feed it up inside that hole so it's on the bottom side of the breadboard. And I'm going to get it on that peg. There's nothing I can do about it. So then I'm going to pound it down, and that tapered spot's going to come out, and then the full round portion where it's not tapered is going to come in contact with the glue and the breadboard. And that's the reason I put the glue in there, so that the peg is attached to the bottom of the breadboard. But before I pound it in, I'm also going to come on the top here and put glue up here, the same as I did on the first one. And then at the same time that the bottom is coming in contact with some glue, The top is also coming in contact with some glue, but I'm not going to pound it more than the thickness of where the hole is drilled right here, so the glue doesn't go down to the tenon, and then the tenon is essentially stuck. And notice this bottom side right here. I've got glue all over the peg, but the glue is still up in there, and now I'm going to drive it until this whole tapered section comes out. And now we rinse and repeat for the rest of them. We'll put this one in. It'll start to draw this closed. I'll look underneath to see right about there. Put some glue on the top. Put some glue on the bottom. And then we'll drive it home and let this drawbore peg do the job of pulling this breadboard over to the countertop and keeping this nice and tight, while at the same time allowing seasonal movement in the countertop. Now, one of the really nice things about Titebond is that you can actually clean it up and then just use water to clean it up before the glue dries and make things a whole lot easier later on. So I'll just clean up all the excess. And then I can come with a wet rag and just clean up all around these pegs, especially in a case like this where I've got these saw marks here and I'm trying to preserve those. I'm going to fill them after and sand it down, and they're part of the feature of the tabletop. So I really want to get the glue out of there, because to try get glue out of those afterwards is just some really careful chisel work and a lot of time. So if I can clean this all up now, it makes it a whole lot easier. And there we go. It's nice and tight. It's all sitting right, and I'll let the glue dry.